All right, so I'm going to just take a couple minutes and talk about a group of people who I run into a lot in my line of business. Now, I'm in the podcasting business. My company, I'm always out pitching my company and what we do, and we primarily specialize in helping corporations use or leverage podcasts in ways that are maybe a little more unique or non-traditional or even unexpected. So yes, we do the traditional public podcast, but we also do things like private or internal podcasts. So internal shows that are only released to employees and teams or ERGs. So it's like an internal comms function. We do private shows for select audiences. That might be candidates, or it might be customers, or it might be distributors, whoever it is. And the group of people I always run into are folks who have tried private or internal podcasts and will say to you, yeah, we've tried that, but it just doesn't work for our company. It's not the right format for us. That always makes me laugh because they're looking at it saying, we didn't get the engagement that we expected. It doesn't work as well as other things that we're doing. And and they'll always have these reasons why. They might say, well, we tried an audio podcast and our people just don't respond to audio. They need video, and we already have a internal comms video approach that we use, whether that be webinars or what have you. Or they might say, podcasts are too long. We can't do anything long form. Our employees won't engage with anything that's not snackable. We need it to be, X amount of seconds or X amount of minutes. It can't be longer than whatever. And it always makes me laugh because it's just not true. I mean, if you surveyed that group of people and you asked them if they listen to podcasts outside of work, I'm going to say a very high percentage of them would say that they listen to podcasts and enjoy podcasts. So the question is, what are you doing that isn't working? Well, the first thing I always like to say to these people, and I would say to you if you're even thinking of trying to launch an internal or private podcast, is you need to be patient, right? This is new. In a lot of cases, an internal podcast is a new format. It's a new internal comms approach. And like anything, just like any other initiative that you've used or any other format that you've used or any other medium that you've used, it takes time to catch on. It takes time to get a little bit of traction. So you have to be patient. You have to let it get some momentum. So that's the number one thing. And then another thing I always say to people is, podcasts they're meant to be loose. They're podcasts, right? They want to make these things podcasty. You don't want to just take your CEO newsletter and turn it into a podcast because that's not going to work, right? You have to make them enjoyable, make them entertaining, make them inspiring and all those kind of things. But you have to be looser. You have to make it like a podcast, like the podcast that they do listen to outside of work. And there is a way to do that. So, it might be your content. It might be your host. You might have just said, okay, so-and-so in internal comms, you're going to be the host of this thing. And that person may have never hosted a podcast before. And it takes practice. It takes time. There's a lot that goes into hosting a show and developing a show. It might even be the cadence of your podcast. You might be releasing too many. You might be releasing too few. I mean, you have to try all these things. It's like an equalizer on, an audio system. You just have to kind of move the levers and find the approach that will work. Podcasts will work internally. It's proven, right? And your company is not, the exception to the rule. People will engage with it. You just have to find the approach that's going to work. And that might require some patience, and it might require kind of, moving around some things and doing some things differently and tweaking some approaches, whether it be the content or the type of show or the host or the cadence or the platform that you use. But don't just say it's not going to work at our company. It will work. You just have to be patient and give it a chance to get that traction, just like you do everything else and all those other internal comms initiatives or formats.